Alright, so we're starting on a RCI 69 base. This is the Plus Plus model. It's the upgraded model. This one's going to my friend Carlos in Ohio. So we're going to get this one aligned and set up for him. Converted out of the factory. It doesn't do anything. None of this stuff does anything. Well, it does, but it's only in 10 meters. So this will go down to 12 and everything else too, so we're going to enable that part of it and also adjust some of the power settings, modulation, obviously do the IF frequency alignment because these usually come pretty far out of spec from the factory. So we'll get that all taken care of with the sniffing probe and the spectrum analyzer and all that fun stuff, and hopefully at the end it'll work just a tad bit better. I'm pretty happy with mine that I have set up. It's been working well. And this one's going to a good home, good operator, so I'm sure he'll enjoy it too. So this one we're going to set up on the spicier side for AM audio. So he's requesting it to be just a little heavier than heavy hitting versus, you know, how I might normally set something up, and that's fine. I'm probably going to do that with mine too. You don't always have to have stuff, you know, as clean as it can be. Sometimes it's fun just to kind of have something a little more aggressive. And I'll probably go back through mine after I do his and set it up. I was trying to dim the camera because, I mean, these get really bright in the camera and they start to like wash out. But they look really good in person. It's a really nice looking radio. And yeah, so we'll get this set up and I'll be back later to kind of show what I've done at the end. So obviously it's going to be unlocked for all the frequencies. All the IF frequencies will be adjusted to the right settings, and that does make a difference. Usually you can go down to the 0 on this side. I don't think you can go to the 0 on that side though. So he's not really concerned with sideband on this, although it works pretty good from what I've done on mine. So, but you know, it's not really there's a certain type of operator that, you know, this is a heavy hitting AM style radio. They do work okay on sideband, but I would say in general, most operators aren't buying something like this to use on sideband as a dedicated sideband rig. You probably already have something else that you would use on sideband for the most part anyways. So you're probably buying this more for the AM side of it. And it's just fun to kind of sit and have a big old hunk of a base radio sitting in front of you for that AM, kind of just hanging out and shooting skip, or, you know, doing some local rag chew and stuff like that. So these radios fit a certain need that some operators want in the hobby. You know, obviously they're not for everybody, and price wise, you know, as some would say, well, I could buy this whatever HF rig for that, and like I've said before, yeah, sure, you could buy an HF rig, but not everybody wants an HF rig. And obviously we know what HF rigs don't usually do well is this, and you know, this will do fantastic there. So it's generally what a lot of guys want out of these, and you know, these give you some good performance. The one thing I notice on these, a lot of times some of these dual controls, this one isn't terrible, this one's actually quite good. Yeah, every once in a while you see how that fluttered, but this one is better than mine. So Ranger said they'd send me a new finding course. I just have to tear it apart and replace it, because I think what's happening is when they machine those potentiometers, they're just a little bit out of spec, and then when they're out of spec, obviously they turn together. So this one isn't near as bad as the one I have, but to be honest, I don't really care about that too much. I mean, eventually if I needed to change it, I would. It's definitely not something I like to sell like that. Let's just say that. I wish that it was better. Usually this one is really good from the factory. At least on mine it was, but it seems like this one kind of moves a little bit too. Seems like they all do that. And I mean, it's not just these guys. I've seen that happen on tons of other manufacturers' radios. So I just think in general that dual potentiometers, maybe they're just mass producing them like they do everything, and things are getting overlooked, and sometimes they're just a little out of tolerance, which does cause that stuff to happen, which is a shame. But you know, I guess this is the world we live in. So you know, when you have an understanding of, you know, what radios are these days, you kind of realize that I guess certain things like that are just the way they are, even though we may not like it in general. So not everybody has to love this radio, and that's fine, but a lot of guys do like them. You're not going to find too many base station options anymore, and if you love that classic black rack mount look, then this is an awesome radio. So I'm really happy to have mine. I do have a 2995 that I need to fix up a little bit. I need some new handles for it that I'm going to try to get. And I dropped something on it once and kind of bent the potentiometer on the clarifier control, which is here on that, I think, or here on that radio. So I need to get a new one of those and replace it. There's some work I have to do to my 2995, but I like that one too. I've always been a fan of this black base radio. These are really cool in my opinion. If you don't expect excellence in like the best of the best, then you're going to be happy. If you expect that, then yeah, go ahead and buy your HF rig and use it on sideband. But you know, when you come down to AM, and if you like CB and stuff like that, and you like AM, that's where these are going to shine the most. And I think most guys realize that. So there's a customer for every type of radio. So these are pretty easy radios. If you did have to change the potentiometer, that's why I'm not overly concerned with mine. Our clarifier is here, so it would be here. Obviously you have to take the whole front face off, which could be a little annoying to do that, I believe, because if you remove the knobs, you have to have a special tool, I think, to get that locking ring off, and I believe that having the whole face come off would make that job so much easier. So it is quite a bit of disassembly involved, I believe, to do that. And then you just have to desolder. I don't know if this one has wires that are soldered or whatnot. I believe that it probably does, but yeah, you got some wires that need to be soldered, so you have to obviously do some soldering and desoldering and stuff like that to remove it. But same thing on your volume control here. On my base station, there was an intermittent problem with this volume control, and they said they would send me the replacement volume control. What I did, and it's kind of crazy to fix the problem, is just took a small zip tie and literally just zip tied around this area here, and it corrected it. The intermittent problem is the radio would go into like full volume mode, and your outside control would not work at all, which was crazy. I'd never seen something like that happen before. So you know, it is what it is. That I got it working, and it hasn't done it since. And I literally just put a small zip tie wrapped up around and right down on where these two red wires are. Didn't have any problem again. So will I eventually change it? Yeah, probably I will. But since it's working, when I get the replacement parts, you know, I'm not going to be too concerned with it until, like, if that problem were to come back, then obviously that whole potentiometer is coming out and a new one's going in. Not too difficult of a job, but obviously it's very time consuming, so I want to make sure when it needs to get done, I have the time to do it and stuff, because I hate leaving things undone and having to disassemble all this radio to get to that. It's kind of annoying, but what else can you do? So, but at least there's a lot of room in a base station versus a mobile. When you have a mobile, everything's compacted and crammed in. And some guys might actually be more comfortable working on a mobile, maybe just because they're used to it. But I like to have more room. On these base radios, obviously, you get a lot more room. So, you know, everything else is pretty much accessible and all that good stuff. So there's one thing that I need to take off on this board, and most of you guys can probably already tell what that is, but so I'll get that part off, and then we'll put this bottom cover back on, and then we have to take the top cover off anyways to do our alignment part. And then when I take the top cover off, there's like one jumper that I think I have to move over or something like that. So, you know, it's not overly difficult or anything, but you do have to remove the bottom cover as well. Okay, Carlos, I gotta pop the seal. That really doesn't mean anything when you get it from like an authorized seller and stuff like that, you know. I think they just put those on there, maybe to scare people or something. I'm not really sure, but there's obviously a warranty with these. I believe it's 12 months from Ranger. So they have warranty repair place that you'd have to send it to, you know, which is obviously with a base station, it's costly to ship it out there, but they fix it, you know. there's usually a backup or a delay on that stuff, but you know, that's why I'm gonna, when I do decide to replace those potentiometers, Ranger said they just send me the parts and I just do it myself. That way it's easier, save me some money, and don't have to box it back up and ship it out. I did all my own alignment and all that anyways. I'm actually gonna change it. I'm gonna do it how I'm gonna set yours up. So just like I said, how we talked about earlier. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll remove this and then I'll get some goo gone and I'll just clean that off so you won't even know it's there. I kind of left it on mine. I don't really care, but I want it to look nice and smooth for you. Well, there we go. I didn't even remove it. I just popped it. Does that mean it's still void? Oh, I'm just joking. It doesn't matter. I'm going to peel this off now, and then I'm going to go get that cleaner, and I'll clean it off the case and everything, because once you do this, it's all like void and all this nasty stuff. So I'll go clean that. Alright, so when you remove that part on the bottom side of the board, a lot of times on mine, the jumper, I had to move it to get the full access, and I believe this one I will too, because the way mine did and the way this one did is you can see your high and low band doesn't really matter. That's because we've only done half of it. So you know, if you only care about this to this and going up, then you're okay. You don't really need it to do anything more. But if you want the low stuff too, then you need to change one more setting, and I'll do that in a second and then come back and we should be all set. So the first thing though after we do that I want to check is the power supply voltage. When I got mine it was set to 12 volts, so I want to definitely check the power supply voltage on this one just to see where it's at. Now the radio, I'm sorry, the power supply, I believe it was a 29 amp or something. Yeah, 29 amp power supply in here. So definitely want to check the voltage. There's a little adjustment point there. You can see that there. So we want to just make sure that we're at least 13.8. I think the maximum I could go on mine was like 13.9 something. I just left it at 13.8. I could care less about a little bit more voltage. I mean, at a certain point the radio works the way it works, and if you only care about power and you think that adding another volt or something is going to make a noticeable difference, and I guess go ahead and do it if it's fun for you. But for me, I don't really care. You know, they make things called amplifiers and if you want more power, hook something up, and there you go. So let's get this thing situated, and we'll be back with hopefully all of the bands. Okay, so we're going to power it back on now and see. There we go. So now we got the low band. So I believe that's the lowest frequency the radio goes to. And then, so there's no 10 kc jump on this. So again, if that's something that you're concerned with, if you were looking to buy a radio like this, then obviously ask whoever you're selling it to you to maybe put that in the radio via like a switch, and maybe somebody that's handy could even wire it up for you somewhere else. Like maybe you could disable a switch, like if you didn't care about the noise filter, which I actually kind of use it sometimes, but let's say you didn't care about that, maybe they could wire a 10K here instead of this. Or simply just put something in the back. You got a ton of real estate back here, you can just put a toggle switch. There's your 10K. See, I could care less about that because I'm not, the sole purpose of why I wanted this radio is not for going in between and worrying about small things like that. Like basically it's not even to use really much except for one setting and whatever. So which is basically this, from here to here kind of thing. Of course on my dummy load I would never do anything unnecessary, but you know, so you have to realize at the time what you're looking to get and what it's capable of doing, what it's capable maybe not doing, and then weigh your options. Number one thing is there's not very many base stations on the market anymore, so you know, we have to take into consideration what's available and what are the options. And I think maybe they could have incorporated maybe one more switch. There's a little bit of real estate here and here. and I think it would have been a little more advantageous for them, since this is the upgraded model, to maybe add another toggle switch so that we could have had a 10K. I think it should have it. Now it doesn't have it, and it's not a deal breaker for me, but it may be for you, as your personal preferences as a radio user might be that you want that. But again, it could be added. Now, I couldn't tell you how to add it because I really don't know. And I got no problem saying that, but I'm sure a lot of smart guys out there could look at this board and be like, oh yeah, we could just do this and add a toggle switch, and there you go, there's your 10K. So obviously it's capable of doing it. As far as that goes on mine, I cut all these these wire harnesses off because I was trying to track down what's going on with that channel, not the channel, but the volume control, because it was literally going to full volume on me. So, and there was an issue with the control. It was the potentiometer. So sometimes it's not a bad thing maybe to check these connections to the board. This is the connection here for the volume potentiometer. It's these 3 wires here, and I thought maybe there was a bad connection here, and I was checking this pin connector, and it wasn't there. It was at the actual control. So you never really know until first I had to track down, okay, where do the wires go from the volume, and that's when I had to undo this, and now mine has a big rat's nest of wires. So once I figure and finally fix it, I will put some new wire harnesses in there, but it doesn't really hurt anything. I'm not overly concerned with it, but again, that's my radio, and I'm not too picky about things. So, alright, well, let's just take a quick peek at the power here before I start the full alignment. I do want to check the voltage first. Okay, so this one's at least 13 volts, so I'm going to turn it up to at least 13.8 though. So you have a hot side and a ground side, so you have to make sure you know which one you're checking. I just take ground right from the chassis. So it looks like about 13.4 is what we got on yours. So I'm gonna key up. Yeah, I noticed no voltage drop on key up, so that's a good sign. I can't really leave this probe in here because I don't want to short anything out. But let me see if I can. Yeah, I don't want to risk it because I could accidentally hit ground. But it's 13.4, and I'm going to key the radio and fully modulate it, and we'll take a look. I can do it like that. Okay, so we're fully modulated right now. It's about 92 watts or something. Peak envelope power. So let's see here. So very little drawback. Well, I'd say that's about right. I mean, there's no really half a volt, whatever, it doesn't really matter. So right now, I'd say we're a little flat topped. Maybe not so much flat top, but you know, just a little too much probably modulation. But that's how you want it, so I'm going to take a better look at it, but I'll do that stuff later. Right now I'm going to do the full alignment part, and that's the most important on these. I'll get this scope set up later so that it's a little more slowed down and we can see it better. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show everybody, this radio has a jack on the back that says frequency counter. We can't really show it to you because we'd be upside down, but actually I can see it says frequency counter. So I have a RCA plugged in here that just goes directly to BNC. So what happens with that is it doesn't show you your reception frequency, but when you TX it does. But you have to have some type of lab grade frequency counter of some sort, you know. And obviously this is hooked up to the GPS DO, so we're getting a good accurate read here. The radio is off frequency, which we would expect that as well. No big surprise or anything. But you know, for the most part, when you really dial in, you can see even the spectrum analyzer is in pretty much in agreement, because this is also on the GPS DO. So this is 123 hertz and this is 120 something. But if I go one more revolution, it'll probably level it out. So you know, we're right within where we're reading about the same on both. But that's kind of cool, especially if you have test equipment. And like on mine, that's what I bought this cable for, specifically for that reason, so that when I'm talking on it, I can just glance over. You can see where mine actually is. So I can just glance over here. So where am I on frequency, you know? Because I'm going to have that running off the back, coming behind this PC and back around, and it'll be an input too. So when I'm not working over on this side, I can just have it on and, you know, that kind of thing. So it's kind of cool. It's something I like. You know, you don't need a 6-digit counter. If we had a 6-digit counter, it wouldn't make any difference because this is more of a display versus this is a counter. So, I mean, honestly, right now we could self-correct with the course as I'm doing right now. You see, it went a little too far. So it's a little tricky. You know, you have to move very slow and you have to be patient to get it about right. I can actually see it on my SDR radio too. If we were to look at that screen over there, you can kind of see it leveling out, which is kind of cool too. So yeah, I mean, it's very tedious to get it to line up, you know. Realize little small movement moves you quite a few hertz. There, he's pretty excited about it too. But there you go, you can see. You can literally see here, we haven't moved that much. So, you know, and that's what that's showing there. So we're looking good. But I just wanted to show that because I thought that was a cool feature. Obviously, if you don't have a GPS DO hooked up to your frequency counter, then it's not going to give you as accurate of reading. If I were to switch this, there's a switch on the back, I think, for the internal reference. Where the heck is that stupid thing? Let's see, there it is. So let's see what kind of reading we get now. Yeah, it doesn't even read because I think the GPS DO, I'd have to disconnect it, but you know, because it's got something plugged in, it messes up the internal reference. But you can see, I mean, it's really good now. So but like I said, that's just something I wanted to show. There's also a record jack on the back. I believe you could probably take an RCA and maybe hook that up to a stereo receiver, and I think that's basically just like an audio out. I'm not exactly sure though how that jack works. You could actually take this whole panel out and probably put like a BNC in here so that you wouldn't need the RCA, but I figured the heck with it, I just leave it the way it is. If I gotta crack my lid open on mine to do some more stuff inside, that's one less thing I want to mess with. So the RCA, this is some RG, what the heck is this? I don't know what it is, RG6 or something. High quality coax cable. 50, it says it works at 50 or 75 ohm, so regardless, it's working. So pretty cool, you know, for a radio like this to be able to monitor your transmit frequency. I like to stay on frequency. That's one of my pet peeves. So, you know, obviously we're going to do the whole alignment now, but I just wanted to show that part of it. So what I always do is I make sure these are right at 0 before I start. And I'm not really going to show all that, but I do have the sniffing probe that I hook up, and I go through the full process with all the IF frequencies. It's really boring, but it is what it is. You know, it's important to do it the right way. It's very time consuming, but it's kind of fun for me because I get to use my gear besides just sitting here and taking some radios that don't really need too much done. You know, these radios are fun because I can dig in and I can use my equipment and do a lot more with it. So I do enjoy this. But this isn't something I do. I could get a couple orders done in the time that it takes me to do like one of these. Plus making a video and doing all this rambling talking isn't helping. But I'm going to meet up with Carlos tomorrow in the morning. So I'll get to shake his hand for the first time, which will be really cool. And I hope when he gets this home, he'll enjoy it. He's got the original 69 that I set up for him with the yellow, and he really likes that one. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of jump in and kind of show what's going on with the alignment. So we have our probe hooked up to our spectrum analyzer. So we want to see 13.57. This is one of the AM IF frequencies. So the radio, you know, the radio's in the low band, and you know, they tell us to check for test point 3. Which is actually on the board somewhere, but you can see here if I just move this probe around the board how it gets stronger. I can literally set it on top of this crystal and get a full strong signal. So 13.57 is what we want, which is in the middle of the screen there, so we're off quite a bit. A couple, almost 100 and some odd hertz. So what we want to do is adjust one of these IF cans here, which is the top one on this left hand side, to get it to 13.57. So that's what we want to do. It's pretty easy, you just have to take your time. Okay, so I just zoomed in on it is all, but they give you plus or minus 20 hertz, so obviously we're right where we should be. You know, and then if you zoom out, still right where it should be. So that's good, that one's done. Simple as that. And this stuff does help the radio a lot. So I'll just take one more to show you guys. So this is your upper sideband offset. So they want 13.57250. You can see where it's at. So it's way out of specification. It should be over here. So that's wrong. So we'll fix that one. So this is just the process. You know, you go through and you just fix them all. And then when it's done, you have that. You can see I'm just probing the filter, the crystal. I mean, just probing the crystal. And if you move the probe around, you can see on the spectrum analyzer it's detecting a signal. I mean, I can be up here and still detect it. So, you know, and this is non-conductive, so you're not going to short anything out, which is, you know, what you don't want to do. So we want 250. So I want to zoom in and make sure I'm proper. This is our lower sideband offset. So you can see there's some spurious emissions. That's because it's out of balance. Those will go away when you correct it. I think they want 13.567.500. So you can see we're way out of specification. So again, just working through this side on the right now of this bank here, the one that's on the vertical. The horizontal ones are last. I think you have to TX on those. So this is supposed to be 267, is it 250, I think? 26750. So you can see where it's at. This is your lower sideband offset, so it's way off again. And that's very important because the radio will never hold frequency and it'll just be crazy. Sometimes, I apologize, I was trying to wipe my nose. I had a tickle on my nose. Sometimes I wonder what they even use in the factory for calibration because it's way out of spec. But anyhow, we'll get it to where it should be. It should be where the little dot is in the middle of the screen. A little bit of back and forth and you can finally get it. And then they say the tolerance is plus or minus 20. So the 20 hertz would be after the 5. So that could either be a 1 or a 2 to be within tolerance. But I don't like that. I want to get it as close as I can. And that's pretty much where it is. So we're looking good. Okay, then they just give you some frequencies to check. They tell you to go to channel 19 and you're checking for 16.49, which we basically have there. And then the next one, you move the band over, and now you want 1694. These are just some like making sure that these line up. That tells you that you did a good job with the calibration. And you can see that that one lines up. And then let's just check one more. The next one will be what, 17.39. These are all just IF frequencies that we're probing off the board to make sure that they're in compliance. So everything's working out the same. So you can see, you know, obviously there has to be a charge on radios like this when you do an alignment, because it's way more. You're getting in, you're using equipment. This is labor, this is time, you know, and it is what it is. But if you don't do this kind of stuff, the radio will never work the way it's supposed to. And unfortunately, they don't come out of the box like this, so you have to do it yourself, and you got to rely on test equipment, and you can't just have some, you know, whatever. You have to have some good equipment with some accuracy. Okay, so they want TX now, 10.695, which we have, which is also channel 1, 26965, plus or minus 20 hertz. So that's reading off that frequency counter jack on the back. So 20 hertz is after the 5, which we have 0, so that's perfect. And the rest of it isn't really a concern because, you know, obviously we'd like it to all be 0, but it's okay. So, you know, the radio is going to have a little bit of a tolerance anyways. That's what your unlocked course is, so you can always shift it if you need to, but we're right within spec, so the spec is plus or minus 20. Okay, so for the sideband on TX, you have to short or TP5 to ground. So that what I do is just use some little banana clips and basically just put this to ground, and then you can take your IF frequency read. So I did say that wrong on the plus or minus 20. It gets getting kind of late here, but anyhow, the 20 hertz would be the number after the 0. Either a 1, a 0, or a 2 would be suffice there. I try to balance it and at least make it a 1, which is kind of right in between. So it's not directly after the 0. It's the one after the 0. But I mean, obviously all of my tests have been right within that specification anyway, so we're not falling behind. Or I just wanted to correct myself. But so what we need to do is short that test point 5, and then what we want to do is basically just check for the IF frequencies on upper and lower, and then we'll adjust on TX these two here as need be to get it within the spec. So a lot of times just use a scope probe and just connect the center to that and ground to ground, and that's basically all we need to do. So we need 10.69250. So you can see we're kind of way off there, and this is for our upper sideband, so we want to put that within spec. Okay, so that's what we have now, and now I want to just zoom in and just check it. Okay, so now we have it perfect, so I'm zoomed in at 100 hertz span, right at 250, so really can't get no better than that. Okay, and then this is the lower sideband offset, so this one's way out of spec too. This is supposed to be 10.697250, so we can see we're way off that, so we'll get that fixed up. So I think I said 250, I meant 50, so it's 10.697500, so we're almost there. Alright, there we go. So that's perfect too, so we're getting close to being done with the alignment. Okay, so now we're going to do the transmit alignment. So you can see the radio is holding frequency quite well. This is still going right off that back frequency counter jack right here, so it's working good. I like that a lot. So I'm glad I got that cable, because I'm going to use that on mine, which is over there. I'm not listening to that one right now, I'm listening to my SDR, but I enjoy both very much. They're both fun radios. Okay, Carlos, so I set it up kind of hot for you. I know that's what you like, so I'm not going to sit here and try to preach to the choir about that stuff. I'm kind of over them days. I give people sometimes what they like a little bit more, and it's all about, I guess, having fun too. So we got you about 10 on the carrier. I'm going to modulate this, so it's about double on the average power. And then with PEP, now this is with a test tone, so it's about 5 times the carrier with PEP with the test tone. That's how it looks on the spectrum analyzer with the test tone. So it's still pretty clean, surprisingly enough. We're not blasting into the next channel here or anything like that. It's very clean, and the power's still dropping off like it should. So I mean, you can make it dirtier by turning up the control, and you can see the scope. I mean, it's nice and round, but it is pinched in the middle, and I know that people don't like that, but I mean, if you make it real dirty like that, then of course we're wasting power at that point. And the modulation percentage now is like 105%, but that's your really spicy audio there. So I guess if you ever want this, just go in and turn it up all the way. And that's going to give you your 100 plus watts with the tone, but there's a lot of distortion there. So to tune some of that distortion out, we need to back it down until, oh boy, local guys. Well, hey, I mean, it is what it is. There's other guys that say swear words and stuff on YouTube. I didn't say it, it's just people on the radio. So 100%, that's what it is with the test tone. So love it or hate it, that's what he wants, and that's what he's gonna get. So let's turn it up just a little bit more if I can, because I want to see about that 5 times again. That's down too much. really fine line here between too much and just right. There we go, about like that. Still looks nice and clean on the spectrum analyzer. The waveform's a little distorted and the carrier only. But I'll be honest, a lot of times with radios, that some of the more modern radios, especially the 955 Plus and whatnot, and look at the frequency just holding its own like it ain't even nothing. I'll be honest, a lot of those radios, when you speak with your voice, it's automatically doing this anyways, even when I set it cleaner with audio, so with the tone. So we're giving him what he wants, and that's the name of the game here. So what's the average is still about double, if not more, so that's good. So I'm going to set the mod meter with voice because, I mean, we talk into our radio, we don't. I'll set it with the tone and then watch what happens with voice. So where's our mod meter right here? You know, we should set it with voice, even though they want you to set it with the mod, with the tone. So there's the tone, it's at 100%, but when I put a mic on it, it'll probably not be enough. Alright, so we got the mod meter, I set it with the tone, but watch what happens. So I'm just using one of these. It's a pretty good sounding mic for these radios too. 1 2 1 2. Actually, it's not too bad. Hello radio, hello, 1 2 1 2. So usually I set it with voice, but to be honest, that ain't too bad. So it is going up there around that 100% mark, but hello, hello, 1 2. I want to turn it up just a tad though. I like to do it with voice. Alright, so I'm going to do what everybody else does. I'm going to get kind of crazy with it, but I just want to see. So hello radio, hello, 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 hello. There we go. That's better. That's why I like to set it with voice, because that way you get a little bit more deflection, but not enough. And you can always go in there, Carlos, and you can adjust that if need be. Because if you hit this with an amp, I'm not sure if it'll change, and you don't want it to peg the needle every time you talk. But I think it's okay. So anyways, let me show you what it's doing for power now. So our carrier is about 10 or so, and I'm just sliding that mic up a little bit, so when I speak, hello, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, check check, hello, it's not too bad, you know, it's not splattering into the adjacent or anything really. So we got about a 10 watt carrier, and we're seeing it multiplying sometimes by 9 to 10 times. So that's pretty good, you know, about 100 watts is what these do anyways, anywhere from 70 to 100 watts. So it's going to have some nice strong audio for you. I don't want to go too high on the carrier, because then it kind of pinches down the audio. I mean, you can turn it up with the higher carrier, but you'd rather have the swing. I know you like the swing and stuff and all that, so I think this is the better way for it, honestly. And you have the monitor sensors and stuff, so you'll be able to see some good PEP out of it. And I think I got your mod meter. I don't know, 2 2 2 2 2. Sometimes certain words you can see a little bit too much deflection. 2 2 2 2. Actually, I'm going to go back and readjust that with the tone, because I did like that better. I don't like it when it pegs out. So I think, yeah, because especially if you're going to run an amp, which you know you probably will, it's probably going to start reading higher than, you know, right now. If you were to run a box with this, I think it's going to slam it. So I'm going to go back and adjust it with the tone, because I actually kind of like that better. Okay, so since I did it before right at that 100, I'm going to do it right at the little percent marker. So that should give us a good amount, a good ballpark amount there. And we're still right at 100%. And obviously we have a pinched carrier, but you know, that's okay. The radio's not overly dirty or anything. And I know you want it a little bit more. So if I turn that down, it's going to make a big difference on the, get that off. It's going to cut the audio way down. So we don't want to do that. We got a really strong waveform though. So a lot of guys will go ahead and make fun of it, whatever you want to do. But this is what he wants. And there's a lot of guys running way worse than this. A lot of guys would go in and just turn this wide open, and then, you know, the distortion, I don't hear any distortion in this at all. So we're not producing any distortion yet. I mean, if you turn it up more, it will. Okay, so let's check that mod meter now with voice. So again, I'm just using the NM532, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, check, check, hello. It's not going to peg out all the time, but I think it's giving some accurate, readings, because again, you don't want this to go crazy. Hello, if you get into it, it's definitely right up there. 1, 2, 3, check, check, check. So yeah, I think it's okay. Again, if you need to know which one it is, it's marked on the board. Sometimes it's better for the radio user themselves to adjust that to your liking, because again, I'm on a dummy load and stuff, and all those other factors can change. Here's your mod meter right here, this one. So there's a capacitor, this is your AM FM high power adjustment, this is your mod meter right here. So right above that wire harness there is where it is. So if you ever need to know to adjust it, that's it. Everything's clearly labeled. This is AM mod right here, so if you want to turn it up. But right now it's a good level, so I'm not too worried about the radio. I think it's going to perform well, minus that pinched carrier, but it is what it is. So there's our 10 watt carrier, and there's about 10 times, so 10 watts, and we're multiplying by 10. That was 11 times right there. So she's getting up and she's talking. That's what you want, I think. So let's just check sideband. I haven't checked that yet, just to see what it's going to do. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, check, check. 1, 2, about 100 watts there. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm going to check it and just see what it looks like on the equipment and go from there. If I need to make a change, I will. I think on mine I have it set to about 80 watts for a little cleaner output. Okay, so the third order intercept's about 18. Now with Rangers, you can't use the standard offset, so a lot of guys don't have the ability, I guess, to have adjustable tone frequency. If you're using one of those old devices where you just put the mic up to it, then you're not going to be able to ever get a stable waveform. You just can't. So keep that in mind, but this doesn't look bad. I'm going to try to adjust the ALC control a little bit just to see what I can do with it. If I can get this to about 20, I'll be happy. And that's about 20 right there. I mean, I don't want to take it too far, because then we're going to lose a lot of output. There's 20. There's 24, so like I normally set up my radios. Just curious to see what that's going to do. I know you said you're not going to use this really on sideband anyways, but it doesn't look too bad. So let me put the mic on and see what kind of power it's doing now. It's not really doing full deflection here, but we'll see. Okay, so here's the power out. It's not really horrible, so I'm probably going to put it back to about 20 though, just for a little more power consistency, but I think this is actually pretty good. So I don't think I adjusted mine this aggressive on the TOI, but this would be about best case scenario, I think. About anywhere from 50 to 70, 80 watts at times, sometimes a little more, but I think it's too aggressive. But it looks rather good here on the upper sideband, it looks really nice. So, but I'm going to readjust it and just give it just a little bit more. Okay, so there's about 20 on both. It's still pretty round and stuff. Again, it's not using the traditional two-tone, so you have to be aware of that a little bit, but it looks pretty good. For a Ranger, I think that's satisfactory, and it should do a little more power now, more consistent. You can see a little more deflection on the meter. That's what I was going for, a little more consistency. Okay, so it's all done as far as that goes. When you're on sideband, you're not going to see a ton of power on the meter, on the power meter. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't get a mod scale either, so you just have to be aware of that. But we can look at our power. So on sideband now, the radio is going to do consistently more power. We're talking 70, 80, 90 watts, which is going to be much better for what we want to do here. Obviously, I think if we roll our RF power down, I believe the radio will do less. Let's see, all the way down. No, actually, they had me set a voltage on it for the SSB limits, and I think that kind of limited what we're doing here. So it does drop it down some. Let me take a quick peek at that, because it should lower it more. Okay, Carlos, so the control isn't real linear. Let me dim that down some. It's not real linear as far as what I mean is, you know, when you gradually turn it back, it really doesn't start to take hold till around here. Now I like to keep that voltage of the SSB limits about where they told me to on the service data that I was provided by Ranger, so I want to keep that what it is, because I think that's important. Otherwise it kind of ruins the whole sideband performance of the radio. So I find that with it all the way down, you're more likely to see about 50 watts or something out of it, maybe a touch more at times. So it is still going to sometimes go up. So you can pretty much, when you run this radio on sideband, guaranteed to see at least, I don't know, 80, 90, 100 watts out of it sometimes. So it is kind of what it is here. You know, there's not a lot of linearity in the RF power control, so just be aware of that. That this thing is if you have an amp that you want to run on sideband, it's gonna be able to handle like 100 watts or something easily. So, and most amps, you know, that you probably have could easily handle that, so I don't think it's a concern. But I know you said sideband isn't your main focus on this radio anyways, so you know, that's just what I'm seeing here is you know, it's gonna still have quite a bit of power even with it all the way down, but it seems like it's coming out about how mine did, anywhere from 80 to 100. So it seems like that's about where they all come out, and that's with adjusting the waveform to look halfway decent and stuff, and have a pretty good TOI of at least 20. I think it actually came out to like 21 or something when I was done, but I think it's doing pretty good. Okay, so just checking sideband one more time. So this is with the two-tone. This is the linearity of the RF power control. So this is all the way up, and then this is at 50%. So again, there's actually, let me do this. Put it in this one, so that way we can see it a little bit quicker. So this is all the way up. This is at 12 o'clock, and that's all the way down. So that's about the linearity. It could be better. We could see lower power out, but this is a higher power radio, so you know, seeing lower power out really isn't the name of the game for this radio. So kind of is what it is there, but it's working good, and I'm happy with it. So I'll probably redo mine and maybe get it a little bit closer like this one. So all this time I've been working with the radio, we go back and check the transmit frequency on AM. Look at that. So that's awesome. So they've definitely fixed some of the stability issues of the past. It's definitely much, much better. And I noticed that on mine too. So I'm really happy with that. Okay, Carlos, so this is your mod. It's really, really spicy. So it it's about 100% all the way through the radio with the test tone. So she's really on the verge. But I know that's what you want, so I might as well just set it up for you like that, because otherwise if I set it up like this, where's my other, let's get it back to where, this is how I have mine set up. About like that. So like that. That looks pretty respectable. Let's see what kind of power it does like that, just for reference. And I mean, you could see if you wanted to. Well, I could honestly probably mark it with a little Sharpie or something, where like it would be cleaner. And then if you want to turn it up, you can turn it up. I might do that for you. That way you have a reference. Yeah, and so we start off at the same carrier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check, check. Hello. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. I kill that monitor radio on the back. So we're still getting peaks up there, sometimes in the close to the 100 mark, but it's a little less consistent, and you know, that kind of thing. So like I say, I'm going to give you an idea of what it's doing like this, and then the other way. So again, this is how it is like this, where it's super clean, And it still does pretty good power and stuff, but I'm going to put it back, but I'm going to mark the board for you. That way if you ever get bored, you can switch it back if you want to. So basically I just lined it up to where like this red lines up with that red. And that'll give you somewhat of an idea where it's at. So I'm going to put it back for you how I had it. And I'm pretty much done with the transmit part. Alright, Carlos, I think I'm done. Been playing with it for a little bit. And again, we got you about 10. And she's got some nice spicy audio. It's about 10 to 11 times the carrier. You know, guys can criticize it whatever they want, but you know, I guarantee this radio will still be cleaner than a lot of the other stuff that you see on channel 6 and stuff like that. So yeah, I know you don't want to run like that, where you know, and certain guys, I mean, certain guys want that killer audio, and there's certain radios like these that can give you that killer audio, and the only downside to that is sometimes it doesn't look the best on the test equipment. But I mean, it could look a lot worse if you turn that up higher. So like I said before, I marked it for you. So where the little middle of this is, you line that up with this right here, and that's about 97%, which is much cleaner than where it is now. But this will keep going over here, and it gets full on distortion. So you don't want that. This is about the maximum that you can go without getting that full on distortion effect. So I think you'll be good. I never checked the FM. FM's not really it's kind of an afterthought on these, but so it looks like about 50 watts all the way up, and then all the way down about 25. So I don't see any spot on here for FM deviation, so I don't know. We can take a check. I'm just curious to see. Okay, kind of interesting. The deviation's at about 2 kilohertz, so it's kind of like right at that legal limit, which is strange, but that's what they decided to go with. So yeah, you back your mic gain down, it goes down to nothing. So it's interesting to say the least, but I don't see anywhere on the board to adjust that, so I don't see any FM mod trimmer, variable resistor anywhere. There's a VR20, and I'm not sure what exactly that is. That very well could be FM mod, but I'm not sure. I don't like to turn things when I don't know, because I don't see anything regarding VR20 in the documentation I have. Let me take one more peek. Yeah, there's no mention of VR20, so I'm going to ask them next time I have a conversation with Ranger about what is that adjustment actually. So it doesn't correlate to FM deviation from what I can tell, so I'm not really sure, but it's down here, right in between these two wires here, this one. So I'm not really sure what that one's for, but anyways, let's check the TX meter and see where that is. So since the scale only starts at 20, I'm going to leave that be, I think. I think I have the mod meter set about right. Hello, radio, hello, because you don't want it to peg. And it's right there in that talking range that I like to see. So it's definitely got some forward momentum, and everything seems to be working pretty good. Let's check our SWR. Not that it really is going to have one here, but just because, let's see. And that's working fine. And just a couple other things we can check. Filter works. It's actually kind of useful on sideband. NB and NNL, we need to hook up the antenna to check that out. But let's test the receiver on this bad boy, and then I'm going to call it a night here. I'm burning the midnight oil, and I think I'm good to go. Yours is the best one. You know the story of mine, but mine works good. I'm happy with it. You know, a couple things, no big deal. I'm not too picky. And the other one I have, yeah, that one not so much. So sometimes you never know what you're going to get with these in out of the box, but it is what it is. I'm sure they'll make it right. and we'll go from there. This one I couldn't be happier with though. This one's working awesome, and I'll probably redo mine like this, just because I kind of want a little bit more, you know, just because it's on the cusp of being too much, but it's not too much. So we'll just call it what it is. It's perfect the way it is for a radio like this. So yeah, let's test the receiver, and this is going to be a really long video. You know, the crazy thing with this is this power supply fan is never turned on. So it's a little hot, but it's crazy. I've been really cranking away at this radio, and that power supply fan hasn't kicked on once. Okay, so I hooked up that jack, that RCA, to the record side and hooked it up to my oscilloscope, so you can see we're getting some audio out on the oscilloscope. So, look, that's doing exactly what I thought it would do. So what are we on, 27,225? So, okay, let's dial this up. Oh, 27.225. So I'm going to set S9 first. Going to see where we're at there. I have to plug in an external speaker. Okay, so our S meter might be just a little bit off for AM, so let me adjust that for you. Just 1 second. There's our nice S9 sine wave on the oscilloscope, so that's working perfect. Out of that record jack, it's basically just an audio out. Okay, there's S9. So when I was younger and I had these bases like this, I always had like I had the 2527. I had very similar meters and stuff. I always would take a mobile radio out in my driveway and just key it up on AM and blast the car stereo as loud as I could, roll the windows up, like put a rubber band over the mic, and just play music over the air. And then I come in the house and I pop the lid on my radio and I would adjust it to S plus 60, right on the plus 60. And that's how I did it, and I swear it was accurate like that, you know, because people would be driving in my neighborhood and stuff, and they would not peg me at plus 60 unless they were right in front of my house. So I don't know if that was the right way to do it or not, but that's how I used to do it. But I'll do it with the signal gen, because that's what we're supposed to do, S9, and that's how I've done it. So that part is done. Here's our lower sideband, so you can see that tone sounds perfect, and it's right at 12 o'clock. So it doesn't get no better than that. There's our beautiful sine wave. If I turn up the volume, obviously it gets bigger, so that's working good. And this is also S9 on SSB, which is just off a little bit, so we'll adjust that for you. And there we go, right on the 9, as close as I can anyways. I try to cover that 9 right up with the indicator, like so. Alright, so let's test the sensitivity now, since we know that we have the S meter calibrated. And again, in the grand scheme of things, these aren't very accurate meters, because you're only calibrating that 1 point, so anything above and below here is inaccurate. So for the guys that complain about all the newer modern radios that say, oh, the noise floor is too high, there's too much S meter, my other radio shows S1 or S2 and this one shows S5. I'm sorry, but that S5 is actually accurate and your 1 or 2 isn't, because none of this after here is accurate, none of this after here is accurate. The only thing is accurate is 9. So, you know, we have to face facts of what actually is what. And you know, but they're fun radios, so it doesn't really matter. It ain't got to be perfect. And if you understand that, then you can appreciate a radio like this for what it is. But I would expect that, you know, each one should work like this radio out of the box, because this one works perfect. I mean, I got no complaints. other than I spent a lot of time aligning it. So okay, here's about minus 101 on sideband. So I can see if I can get a little bit more out, but generally speaking, that's probably about right for this radio. I'm sorry, not 101, that would be horrible. 121, 121, geez, oh Pete. So there it is. We're adding 20 with the attenuation there, 121. So I'm assuming that that's probably about the max. Usually they do a pretty good job with these. I can check it though, and if I can get anything more, I'll report back. Okay, here's the AM sensitivity. So again, it's not as high as some of the other radios, but it's definitely manageable. I mean, you can still hear signals and stuff like that. I have no problem on my base hearing stuff, but it's only about 106. So, you know, that could be another reason why, as well as the RX meter is not being calibrated, accepting where but 9. Why these radios don't pick up more interference and stuff like that. So if you're in a very noisy environment, these radios may appear to be quieter simply because the receiver just isn't picking up as much noise, which is also something to think about. You know, if you have a much more noisy environment, a more sensitive receiver will pick up way more noise. So things that we don't always think about that maybe we should. But that's pretty much it for the receive test. See if I can get an antenna over here really quick just to see if we can pick up anything on the ear. And then I'm going to put the lid on this and I'm done.
That's cool. Wow.
The sideband's still coming in good. AM's kind of dying off tonight. It's dark. It's almost 9 o'clock, so... Well, she's working good. When I get up in the morning, I will look at the VDX and see if I can't do just a little bit more for you on that one, the SS158 VDX we talked about too.
Yeah, me too. And then about an hour and a half later, my phone wakes me up. Christina in Brazil, she's all wide awake and wants
Remember, this one's open and locked. This one's closed, receive only, so... I'm not even pointing that way anymore. I'm pointing up to the northeast on the vertical side of my antenna.
Yeah, these guys are now going in between keys.
Can I get a radio check? See if anybody hears me out there. So truck drivers nowadays don't even use the radio. Break 19, can I get a radio check? Everybody's in bed, I guess. Anybody out there got a copy on this one? Kind of pointing the wrong way for those guys. Well, that's about it, so...
Oh my God, I believe my friend 27 on the mound. I don't usually do that. But you jumped in my radio so much I had to come right back. Hello to the PMC in the Bayou. Your friend Fireball is right back. 220 in Arizona. The Cactus Patch is rocking its mail. Now no more ever again.
Hey, can I get a radio check? I don't know where these guys are. I think it was Skip. Can I get a radio check? Break. I'm pointing into like Canada or something, so I ain't really doing myself much justice. But let's see if we can't turn the antenna around. Hey, where are you at out there, Trailer Park Mobile? We hear you around Flint, Michigan. Where'd that Trailer Park Mobile go? We hear you around Flint, Michigan. People are covering them up.
No doubt, 4420 with the big old wave. Yeah, 4 lanes. Been holding up for the last 5 fucking miles. Don't block over there. No. Bulldog up down shotguns all over my radio.
Wow, that was some hellacious bleed over. From this guy, I think. Hey, can I get a long distance radio check? Come on. Oh, I guess my radio's broke. I need to go fix it.
Come here visiting all the time. No. So they brought this thing down one time on the driver. 171 Ridge Runner, bottom side of Utah, breaker.
How about you, Utah? You got a copy on Flint, Michigan? Seems like I don't have any conditions anymore. How about you, Utah? You got a copy on Michigan? Break?
I'll tell you what, man. I got you in there, but man, it's like a beehive out there. I heard somebody call my name. Ridge Runner sitting on top of this tall mountain. Me and this Bluetooth hound got down.
I don't think he was talking to me.
For some work to be done to it, got lost in the mail. Well, have you ever heard anything back on that? I insured it for $500. I'm trying to get the paperwork done to get my money back.
That sounds like some Canadians.
I got my radio out of a blister pack. What's going on there? Just a shitload of skip coming in. Yeah, kid. Yeah, I just walked out here for a minute, man. Got the receipt turned down, so I have to listen at all.
They don't want to hear the skip. I'm gonna ask for a break. Break, channel, break.
Believe that? Somebody asked for a break on this channel. Go.
Well, I figured it was the smart thing to do since you guys were complaining about the skip. But I just wondered what's your 20 out there.
Washington State, Borderline, Washington, Alaska.
Copy on that. Okay. Yep, you're sounding good in Michigan anyways. You're making a fine trip across the U.S. over here to Michigan, around Flint, Michigan. And 269 said it. We're just about, well, actually it's been dark, but it's like 9 o'clock now here or something.
So you're definitely getting her done. How's the water over there in Flint anyway? Just asking. I'm being nosy.
I don't know. I have well water here, so I don't drink that sewage that they call. I'm not actually in Flint, but everybody knows Flint when I say that. But I got good well water here, but we don't even drink that. We just buy it by the bottle.
Imported about 80% of their toilet paper from the United States. That sounds like it might get kind of shitty for them on the tariff deal.
All right, you guys have a good one out there in Washington State. It's getting rough and tough. 269, Flint, Michigan. We're back out. Sometimes you ask for a break, people will actually give it to you.
Hello, 99. They fender better. I don't mean to jump in, man, but you just took over my...
A lot of big radios out there tonight, that's for sure.
Take home. Even as low off the ground as it is, it's definitely... Anyway, be me on the key. I'm out here to circle the band. Just thought I'd stop in and say hello to everybody out there and wish y'all a good evening. Stay on there and say... Aloha! Hey, my squad! Aloha! You doggone right, Cosmica! You smoking my squad! 20 around Arizona, I'm rocking this mail!
Man, that's crazy. Alright, I had enough fun with this one tonight. I'm going to put the covers on it and I'm going to call it a win. So hope you enjoy it tomorrow, Carlos, when we do the handoff. 73, everybody. This is an extended, long one. So, if I ever get some more of these, don't ever expect this long a video. But you know, these radios are fun. They're fun to set up and stuff. Especially, you know, number one, they got to work right when you get them out of the box new. This one worked fine, so got no complaints with it, no problems. It's just a lot of fun to set one of these up, and it took way too much time, but I got no time clock to work against when I do this stuff. I just enjoy what I do. So here's the frequency, so pretty damn good still. So yeah, we're all good. Thanks a lot. 73.